so much for taking your time to talk with us. And thanks to everyone who's joined us today to be part of our conversations with candidates. My name is Judy Freiberg. I'm president of the Democratic Environmental Caucus of
Wow.
Florida.
I
And
am so sorry. I don't know if you can hear me, but all of a sudden I have lost, I cannot hear you now.
okay,
So it shows everything live. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but Rob is trying to, at this point, pull it up on his phone.
okay. So for everybody on this
Okay.
call, I'm going to
Hold
go
on.
ahead. Is Rob in now? This is part of the problem of using this new technology, apparently, with our phones.
But I can't hear them.
Okay, so my suggestion, Rob, is you get it on a cell phone like I'm doing, so that Mayor Demmings can come in on a cell phone. That is exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce people so that we can get this going. How's that? So, as I said, I am president of the Democratic.
Okay, so let me
Can
this.
you X out of your? There you go. We
On the
cannot hear
screen.
you now. Okay, there.
Okay. All
We
right.
can. Perfect. Can you hear us,
I
Mayor
can hear
Demmings?
you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Let
Okay.
me explain to our audience a little bit about the caucuses in Florida Democratic Party. We are issue-based Democratic organizations under the umbrella of the Florida Democratic Party. So there's different issue-based caucuses, progressive, Black caucus, LGBTQ education, disability, etc. Our caucus issue is environmental. Our
Mhm.
role as a caucus is to elect Democrats who understand and commit to governing in a way that addresses the environmental and climate crisis we are facing. And to that end, this discussion is not a campaign event. It's a conversation with our candidates to determine the issues that matter to Florida voters that are environmentally related and what environmental policies our candidates should implement once elected to address those issues. We know that the issues that matter to Florida voters now are affordability and overdevelopment. And we know that environmental issues are definitely embedded in those two voter concerns. We also know that under Democratic and Republicans, the affordability crisis has worsened and has grown not only to include low income citizens, but middle class and working families, young people just entering adult life, seniors on a fixed income. In the United States, 45% of voters identify as independents, 27% identify as Democrats, and 27% identify as Republicans. We also know that all Floridians hate overdevelopment, regardless of their party affiliation or where they live, whether it's urban or rural, and they blame both parties. We cannot fix overdevelopment crisis or the affordability crisis without addressing climate change, pollution, environmental destruction, and urban sprawl. And we believe that our discussion must revolve around genuine policy solutions that address both affordability, overdevelopment, that includes the environmental and climate crises that we are in.
Yeah,
People who never vote Democratic will only come back
I put
if
it there.
we
I can't see the notes. So
offer genuine solutions and not simply campaign slogans. Over 100 people are listening to this discussion, and hundreds more will be able to view it on YouTube or Facebook at their convenience. So, Mayor Demmings, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I
Okay.
can. Before we begin our conversation, would you please give your introductory thoughts regarding the environmental issues we're facing in Florida and why you agreed to talk to us about this today?
Well, thank you so much for the question. Again, I'm Jerry Demmings, currently serving as the mayor in Orange County. And this is my 8th and final year as the countywide elected mayor. When I took office, I spent a fair amount of time listening to the issues of concern from my constituents. One of the specific areas that they identified as being important to them are the very issues that you have discussed today regarding environmental issues. And as a result of that, I impaneled a transition team of volunteer citizens from all walks of life. There were some who had been formerly homeless, some who were students at our university, others who were professionals. But as a result of that, that particular group identified what were the priorities for my county. And sustainability and resiliency was certainly at the top of the list. And as a result of that, we created a plan of action. And as a result of that, I appointed Orange County's very first Chief Sustainability and Resiliency Officer. We had various components of our county government, our different departments and divisions that were instituting best practices. But what we did not have was a concerted effort countywide to make certain that we had a focus on it. And so today I'm happy to say that we do have a focus on it. We have addressed issues concerning our water bodies with lake pollution. Orange County has over 1,000 different water bodies, lakes within the county. And so our citizens have said that we wanted to improve the overall quality of our water by addressing issues like runoff of damaging contaminants that will enter our water bodies. We have focused on doing things like creating alternative energy sources. We have created a plan of action, a sustainability plan under my administration, where we have invested now in such things as solar energy, solar panels, and we have the largest floating solar array in the Southeast that was implemented by our utility entity. And I'm here to report that that is going exceptionally well. In addition, I led efforts to create Orange County's reinvestment in its Green Place program, in which we have made a commitment to spend $100 million over a 10-year period of time from our general revenue sources to address sustainability issues through the purchase of preservation lands and environmentally sensitive lands within our county. And with that process is going very well. I will tell you that as well. And so we are also doing some innovation even at our convention center, where we are working with solar at the convention center and doing some things with hydroponics. And so I'm committed, is what I'm saying to you. We have instituted such things also as within the last few months, we have a fertilizer ordinance that we instituted, especially during the rainy summer months with limiting the water usage and limiting the amount of fertilizer that is used that can run off into our lake bodies during the summer months. So we have some restrictions there. We have a tree ordinance that we have also instituted here within our county to require, when development occurs, a minimum number of trees to be preserved within that process. And so we are looking at very holistic approaches to
making certain that we are leaning into our sustainability efforts. And we monitor that. We, on an annual basis, we do produce a report that is published and presented through the Board of County Commissioners. And I'm sure you all probably know that as a countywide elected mayor, I am the CEO for Orange County, and all government services ultimately report up to me. But I also am the chair of the legislative body, which is really unlike the other countywide elected mayors in the state of Florida. I chair the Board of County Commissioners and set the agenda for our board to have full discussions about how we will implement and execute our broad plans of action. And so that is a responsibility of a strong county mayor form of government. Upon my election to Orange County Mayor, I made sustainability and protection of natural resources a priority. Orange County, Florida is a certified LEED Gold community recognized for our sustainability, and data-driven planning, and community resilience. We were the first county in East Central Florida to achieve this distinction, and among the first counties in the United States to do so. In 2025, we installed the largest floating solar array in the Southeast at our Southern Regional Water Supply Facility, which offsets 25% of the annual energy usage for the households who are served by that solar array. Also, during my administration, we updated many of Orange County's ordinances to meet the current needs. I talked about some of those already. In terms of our Green Place program, this is going very well. The goal is to double Orange County's protected acreage from approximately 23,000 to 46,000 by 2030. And we are well on our way to being able to do that. These are legacy projects for me that will outlive my tenure as the Orange County mayor, but will inure to the incoming administration. And so our county is committed, is what I'm saying here. And so that just kind of gives you a little bit about kind of what we have focused on during my tenure as Orange County mayor.
Well, thank you very much. In fact, your campaign website reflects priorities and values that our caucus shares. And as current mayor of Orlando, obviously, you would be able to bring your administrative experience to Tallahassee as Florida's governor. And
yes, I will also tell you that I do agree with one of the statements that you made earlier, in that we have overdevelopment happening within the state of Florida. And I would share with you that we continue to see preemptions of our local government by the state legislature and the governor to preempt local government's authority, especially as it relates to land use issues. And so we see the special interests today, especially developers that seem to have a substantial influence on the decision-making in Tallahassee that has resulted somewhat, at least during these last 8 years, in some of the overdevelopment. What I will tell you is I'm committed that if I'm governor, to get out of this conundrum that we seem to find ourselves in now, where the state is not working in partnership with the local governments, municipal and county governments, regarding ensuring that, you know, we grow in a healthy way. And so my priority is ensuring that we do preserve some of Florida's green spaces as we grow as a state. And you can't make appropriate decisions if you don't include the people who are closest to the issues.
So, Mayor Demmings, let me do this if I could, okay? I have a series of questions I want to ask you, and that's going to be one of them. Exactly. So if I could, I'd like to start now.
Yeah.
And the questions are really coming from questions that people have sent me, um, asking me to ask, and also from our environmental platform, our policies that we push. So um, I really want to start, however, with the homeowners insurance crisis. And the reason I want to do that is because every single Democrat should be campaigning on this. It is part of the affordability crisis we're in, and it's very much part of the climate issue problem that we're in. So it's a huge issue, and voters will vote on it. So what I want to get into is the policy discussion we should be having among all of our candidates and our volunteers and environmentalists about homeowners insurance, which is one component of how we need to recover from climate disasters. Climate disasters are not natural disasters anymore. They carry catastrophic financial costs that are getting worse and worse. So the model of FEMA and homeowners insurance and the Red Cross no longer works because these are not natural disaster. The question then becomes, how should we as a nation recover from climate disasters? Thinking about the following types of priorities and criteria. One is climate resiliency. What is the balance between taxpayer paying for the damage that's happened and corporate financial responsibility of the people that have been causing this and who profited from it? What is their responsibility to fund the mitigation of the consequences of climate change that has happened? How do we ensure that our environmental justice communities are prioritized so they're able to live safely and economically secure lives, rather than our current policy, which is they're last on the list to receive mitigation resources, or they're ignored completely? What does humane retreat from areas no longer safely livable look like? How are we going to implement economic and energy policy on an emergency basis that transition us away from greenhouse gas emissions in all of its forms and develops and utilizes carbon capturing and other technologies that can help us get a handle on global warming? We are calling for a different discussion than we're having now about homeowners insurance policy, its policy. How do you as a candidate and then as governor have that discussion in a state where the current Republican governor and legislature has passed laws prohibiting the use of climate change to determine any state energy, housing development, or agricultural policy? And how do you frame that discussion with voters? So I've asked you a question that honestly, I don't think we have the answer for, and it's part of a discussion I think we all need to have.
Okay, that was a series of a number of questions, but let me see if I can take a stab at it.
Okay.
First, let me just share with you this. I think it begins with us first acknowledging the science that global warming is something that is real. Unfortunately, we seem to have a debate about that at the federal and the state level, whether sea level rise and global warming is something that is real. And I believe we have to get to the point where we are depoliticizing these conversations and really depending upon the experts who have validated that this is something real that we are dealing with. Secondly, I want to tell you that you may not be aware of something in my background. During the Obama administration, I was actually yes, during the Obama administration, I was appointed to the FEMA National Advisory Council, which is a council made up of appointees from around the country. And I had the privilege of serving as a representative of local elected officials to again bring a local perspective to the conversation. There were, at that time, I believe it was 32 members from across the country. When I was first appointed during the Obama administration, I was the Orange County Sheriff at the time. But because of my years of experience in crisis management and being an emergency manager, I was appointed to that role. And then as the Trump administration transitioned in, I finished my final year of a 4-year term on the FEMA Advisory Council. While serving on that council, we acknowledge that the regular policy and then response to natural disasters needed to change based upon the change of the times that we were living in. And so I was part of a think tank of individuals that was really trying to modernize the response by FEMA. And that process is still underway today. The next thing that I do believe is necessary is we're ripe for some regulatory reform. And that takes, I think, at the state level, some acknowledgement that we have to do business differently. We have to hold developers accountable when they develop or create some infringements in environmentally sensitive lands through our regulatory authority. And then if they are directly responsible for some of the damage that may occur, then they should be charged appropriately. But I do also believe, thirdly, given all of the issues that you talked about, I do believe that we have to be proactive. As governor, my style of leadership has always been to involve the people in the process of making decisions for themselves and determining what best practices look like. I'm very, very interested in creating a task force of sorts that is statewide to very well address the issues that you kind of laid out, so that we will create a blueprint, a new blueprint for the state of Florida by which we can look at the comprehensive issues that's affecting Florida. Now, because Florida is a peninsula, and as a result of that, we're likely, and from a risk perspective, we're going to have a disproportionate number of weather phenomena that will impact us within the state of Florida. But I believe that in terms of, you led off talking about the high cost of insurance. I believe that in terms of property casualty insurance, there is an opportunity for us to reform that. And I believe drive costs down for the average consumer by creating and incentivizing insurance companies to sell and invest in Florida. I believe that through the free market system, when we create competition, competition sometimes can drive price down. However, I don't believe that Florida has positioned itself well to be able to create the type of incentives for companies to come in. Once insurance companies invest in Florida, I believe Florida should hold them accountable for reinvesting the profits that they make out of our state back into the driving down the cost of premiums for those insurers within the state of Florida. Thirdly, I believe that there are some challenges that we have because the cost of insurance, property insurance, is high in some regards because of fraud. There's significant fraud that happens within our state of Florida, and the state, quite frankly, does not have an effective system of investigating the fraud and holding all those who may be involved accountable. Today, there's at least 3 different Florida departments or divisions that play a role in investigating the fraud. I believe that we need to consolidate the investigatory arms and get many of those persons who have investigative responsibility back focused on their primary duties. Today, we have diluted the responsibility of many of the investigative agencies by assigning the investigators to do other things. Some of them who might be have a law enforcement authority have been reassigned to do immigration and customs enforcement, which means that has now taken a higher priority than on protecting Florida's natural resources and preservation lands. So I want us to get back to doing the business and prioritize how we do business here within the state of Florida. The other thing that I believe that there's a strong opportunity to do is to make certain that on the various regulatory authorities and boards that we appoint individuals who understand what the priorities are. Again, I believe those priorities can be further defined by this collaborative, this task force, if you will, of individuals who will help us rewrite the blueprint for how we will move forward as a state of Florida to put sustainability as one of the top focuses. It will certainly be a top focus for my administration as governor. And so I don't want to just keep rambling on. I wanted to just kind of globally respond to your questions because you had a myriad of questions within the question, and you may have some other questions, and I want to make sure we use the balance of the time to address all of the issues. So hopefully you got some of what I believe has to happen in this next administration.
Okay, thank you. So let me get a little more specific then and start talking about housing and housing policy, essentially. So in Orlando, there are some environmental justice neighborhoods like West Lakes, Golden Heights, Paramore adjacent communities west of downtown Orlando that have experienced worsening flooding due to redevelopment that has caused more impervious concrete to be installed, less green space that should be absorbing water. The way redeveloping has moved forward faster than stormwater infrastructure upgrades in Florida has resulted in increased flood risk, environmental harm, driving up insurance costs, repair costs, displacement, worsening housing unaffordability for longtime residents. This impacts not just low-income residents, but also working class and middle class neighborhoods all over Florida. The infrastructure upgrades are made, however, in higher income neighborhoods, while low and moderate income neighborhoods are ignored. What specific changes do you propose in state legislative regulatory agencies and restoring local government control of development decisions that will prevent redevelopment and development from harming existing communities?
Okay. For me, I think that the state needs to make certain that we institute a system of standards of how development can occur to include sustainability and resiliency factors within that moving forward, irrespective of whether the development is within a municipality or in unincorporated areas. I believe it should have some consistency across the counties and across the state of Florida. Again, this is what you have described as a result, I believe, of where the state of Florida is not working in concert with the local governments, and in some cases, it's due to preemptions. Now, while Orange County, as Orange County mayor, I have authority somewhat countywide, but in some cases, as it relates to land use, the municipalities have their own land use standards. But this is where I believe that the standards should be across the state, and it needs to be fair and balanced standards, irrespective of the economic condition of a particular area. It really should not matter whether it's a low income, a moderate income, or high income area about the infrastructure that is needed to make certain that we have appropriate drainage, that we have appropriate systems, for example, septic to sewer. We have leaned into making certain that in our low income areas and other areas of the county, that we have a broad-based septic to sewer program. Now, I will say this is an area where we have received some state funding to make this transition more urgent, as well as more effective in moving the needle in a positive direction. We need more of that, quite frankly, across the state of Florida. And sometimes the decisions have been made from a state perspective about who gets the funding, what local government gets the funding, is sometimes tied to partisan politics. I believe that we have to get out of making these types of decisions, broad-based decisions, purely on partisan politics, and make those decisions more about what is necessary to preserve our green spaces and to protect our water bodies and make it consistent. Again, this is an opportunity to get back to working with local governments rather than preempting the local governments from their local authority. I think in some cases, local governments are going to be at some risk, because of this discussion now about property tax reform and the reduction of property taxes. We don't really know what that's going to look like, but I believe that the reduction of property taxes is probably going to have a negative impact on low-wage earners within our community. The different options that have been presented to date, at least discussed, seem to more greatly favor persons who own homes and centered around additional homestead exemptions. Whereas what I will tell you is that poor people are probably not going to benefit to the same extent, because the majority of people are likely going to be renters. And if there's some type of property tax reform on the residential side, even if it's residential commercial, we would have to make up that loss of revenue somewhere within the state of Florida in order to do and deliver on all of the various services that Floridians are going to require. And that is where I believe that on the commercial real estate side, it could be likely increases in fees. And if you are a renter, the property owner is simply going to pass along those costs to the renters. And that's a negative impact on people who are already struggling. And so I don't believe that the conversation has been broad enough at this point to really look at it from a holistic perspective. And so in terms of environmental justice, I think as they have the conversation about property tax reform, let us not forget about environmental justice as well in this process and what that looks like. I do believe that when we work through public-private partnerships, where we work with the habitats of humanity across the state, when we work with other nonprofits to build multifamily, single-family residential communities, working with our corporate community. We're doing that here in Orange County, where we have some projects underway where we're working with the private sector. For example, next month, we should be opening a multifamily complex that was done in partnership with Orange County, Universal Resorts of Florida, and private lending institutions. Of course, you're probably well aware that Orange County has created its own locally controlled housing trust fund, and it has been codified now as a charter county. We put it on the ballot by referendum, and our voters overwhelmingly voted to support and require in perpetuity that our county would have a housing trust fund in order to solve some of the myriad of issues related to housing affordability. We kind of took control. I led that effort here within our county, and I believe that at the state level, the state has not been using its housing trust fund, the Sadowski Trust Fund, to the extent that it should have been using those dollars over the decades that it has been in existence. Rather, the state has swept the funds from the Sadowski Trust Fund and used it for general state services and not to support housing. This is where I think we could level the playing field, especially with the development of those who are perhaps at 60% or below of average medium income, who are very low and low income households, where they would have the opportunity to not just live in substandard types of housing, but live in the kind of housing where their homes are not susceptible to flooding. As I have been traveling the state, I have observed, especially down in South Florida, because of decades of not having adequate land use planning and zoning requirements. There are homes built on wetlands, close to wetlands, a lot of flooding happening there. And in order to rectify that situation, it's going to require some significant infrastructure improvements. And this is where I believe that if we can relieve the pressure on some of the revenue sources for local governments by utilizing some of the taxation strategies that we currently have and make them more flexible, we can improve the infrastructure and then improve the flooding conditions and some other conditions that they experience. I do think that we need to do a better job of monitoring air quality around some of these areas. You kind of pointed out one of the areas around West Lakes, which is near our Camping World Stadium here in the Metro Orlando area. And the Expressway Authority has expanded roadways running through the areas. And we are just really beginning to gather data on the air quality. And I believe that there are opportunities to mitigate some of the negative impacts of emissions in that area as they're looking to redevelop that area. So we should be working in concert with the state to address those types of issues. And I have the opportunity to serve on the Expressway Authority. I believe that it will be important moving forward that the governor appoint people to these expressway authorities who have environmental and sustainability as a priority for them, and not just stack it heavily with persons who represent developers. If that makes sense to you.
If I could, I'd like to piggyback on what you said about local funds, if you will, local resources to help with some of this, and talk to you about two local issues that one of which is occurring in Orlando that you talked about, I think, a little bit, which is the traffic on 4 and 408
Yes.
is causing toxins, basically pollution, to float into these communities here. And it hurts their health and their safety because they're so close to these highways. And that again is an environmental justice issue. There's another local issue in many other counties, and that is the agricultural, mining, and industrial toxins dumping into residential communities, causing considerable health issues. One of the resources that we have locally are Community Redevelopment Act. Their TIF, their tax increase, administrations. You have, I think, 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And in Florida, generally, the funding from that, and I should explain to everybody, the Community Redevelopment Act is supposed to be set up to stop blight and slums, or help communities that are in danger of blight or slums. And these are residential communities. It's all about affordable housing and making sure it's safe and livable. Most of the CRA money in Florida goes to business districts and design districts and don't go to those communities. Would you support a state amendment to the CRA statute that would basically not let the businesses and the developers and the special interests raid that fund and make sure that it goes back to the communities now that are really have significant health? It's very dangerous, the stuff that's going on in these communities, and mitigate the damage and hold the polluters accountable, which would then, of course, um, mean that you would restore the state agencies that are supposed to do that. So would you support that kind of resource being redirected to the communities that that CRA money is supposed to go to?
Yes, the short answer is yes, absolutely. I do believe that CRAs, when administered appropriately, can mitigate urban blight and can make a difference. Now, I also think that, as you indicated, especially like in a growing state like with Florida, with the population growing significantly, like a area like Central Florida, where we're growing significantly, the traffic congestion is increasing, and the overwhelming majority of our automobiles are still fossil fuel burning. But I do believe that as I've traveled the state and being impacted by so much traffic, that we really need to look at multimodal transit solutions to more efficiently move people around. But I also believe that we need to better plan our communities where people live and work in close proximity, so that people don't have to drive long distances in the first place to get to work. And so I believe that in terms of our comprehensive plans, our comprehensive plans should have meaning. I don't have to tell you, but Orange County had implemented and transmitted a Vision 2050 plan that was designed to get us through the next 25 to 30 years. And because of the state, we were preempted from that, and we're still having those conversations now. But I believe that, again, that was a preemption on local authority when we were really better trying to plan our communities for the long term to address all of those types of challenges that you just enumerated. As governor, I will support the efforts to lean more into our environmentally sustainable programs moving forward. I look forward to working with our different environmental organizations and strengthening them. Again, the governor has the ability to appoint thousands of persons to the various economic related boards, from the expressway authorities to others. I will make sure that we do our research. And along this campaign trail, I'm meeting a number of people who are environmentalists. I'll look forward to appointing some of them to these thousands of boards that are there. Because quite frankly, when we have all people at the table, we get better results. We get better decision making as a result. And at least for the last 8 years or so, we have not seen the willingness. It's almost like if you're an environmentalist, that's a bad word in Tallahassee, and you don't have those persons who can objectively make decisions and make recommendations to decision-making bodies, being able to do so because of the heavy political one-sided influence. So I do look forward to the day of having bipartisan types of cooperation amongst our state and get back to some sense of normalcy and civility as we have these types of conversations.
Okay, you just answered a whole nother question on transportation I was going to ask. So thank you very much for that. But let's get to the next issue, which is really, and one other thing I do want to say about the need to transition to clean energy in our vehicles, clean, cheaper energy sources. And obviously, we are so dependent on foreign oil. Look at the affordability implications now. You're going to have people that can't afford to drive to work because they can't afford the gas. So I think it's a huge election issue if someone can figure out how to frame it well. Next, however, I do want to talk about development housing model, the housing development model in general that we are we implement now, and which seems to be based on growth and profit, and a different development housing model called smart growth principles, no urban sprawl. Rather than expanding into rural and protected areas and growth should happen in already fully developed areas. Upgrading existing housing, adding density to existing buildings, repurposing abandoned buildings. And that would give us a bonus, essentially, of being able to redevelop in a way that improves resiliency in the cities that are most vulnerable to climate disaster. So I know you know well an issue in Orlando, in Orange County, which was that Split Oak Forest was permanently protected as conservation lands and lies within voter-approved rural boundaries. And those boundaries were intended to prevent urban sprawl and protect wildlife habitat. The Central Florida Expressway Authority, or CFX, proposed State Route 534, a toll road that would cut through the preserve and adjacent protected lands, and then open the door to building large-scale development in the middle of the Florida Wildlife Corridor and on land that is currently rural, ranch land, and wildlands. And you know conservations are opposed. Now, your position on Split Oak, from what I can see, evolved from supporting negotiating with CFX, but then later supporting legal opposition to it. And you also voted to join the lawsuit challenging Senate Bill 180 because, as you've been talking about a lot, it undermines local control over growth and land use policy and is in favor of real estate developers controlling policy, essentially. So it appears your views on how to handle this has changed. I want to know, is that true? In our view, it's changed to the better to actively oppose this. Am I correct? And would you please discuss how you came to changing it and
Okay.
what changes to administrative and legislative policy you would make as governor to ensure that areas like Split Oak and adjacent conservation lands are permanently protected?
Yeah, so a number of things happened. Initially, when the conversation about Split Oak and the toll road going through, there was conversation about a significant land swap, if you will. And initially, I was focused on increasing the total number of acreage that could be preserved in perpetuity. But subsequent to that, we had a ballot initiative that was put on the ballot to preserve Split Oak Forest. And it passed overwhelmingly by 80% or so of our voters at the time. And so I work for the people, you understand? And so when the people resoundingly vote in a certain way, I like to say I believe in the power of the people and not the people in power. And so when my constituents overwhelmingly voted for it, I supported my constituents. And as a result of that, after we, through some conversation about a linear facility versus a land swap, we had legal advice, that was given. And I will say that at some point, the will of the people through the ballot initiative kind of trumped the legal advice. And so from that point forward, I consistently voted to not support the linear facility, i.e. the roadway that was going to go through a portion of Split Oak. And there were different preferred alignments that have been proposed over time. And from the very beginning, I supported the alignment that if the road had to move forward, it would do the least damage, if you will, and do in terms of impacting surrounding landowners and home owners and residences in that area. Now, our county to the south of us, Osceola County, was really experiencing significant traffic congestion on their roadways, and they were advocating that they really needed this expanded road in order to help their constituents not be sitting in traffic, experiencing the negative consequences of idling vehicles, where they would be sitting in traffic, experiencing other negative health consequences. So the neighboring county, when we make decisions, sometimes I think that as a region, we've tried to make regional decisions that look for the best interest of the entire region as our region grows. But quite frankly, we got to the point where on behalf of my constituents in Orange County, I could not support it. And so from that day forward, we have continued to challenge the Expressway Authority on some of the assumptions that they made in that regard. This was another issue, quite frankly, related to the preemption. You had alluded to discussions about rural boundaries. Well, Orange County had been very proactive during my tenure and before to protect our rural boundaries. And of course, through the legislative process and the law that the governor signed, it preempted some of our well accepted and well established rural boundaries, and that was part of our 25 to 30 year vision or plan for growth management. And our comprehensive plan, we're engaged in litigation right now, challenging the state. We'll see where that goes. And I do remind everyone that, you know, the state takes the position that local governments, counties and cities only exist because the state allows them to exist because of the state's superior authority. And so, again, this is where legislatively, you know, the supermajority have voted for these types of initiatives and ignored, I'm going to say, the wishes of a minor party or minor constituency groups who don't have the kind of influence in Tallahassee. And these are special interest groups seem to own Tallahassee in some regard, and there are negative consequences of that. So we are out of balance. Again, this is speaks to my desire as governor to kind of rectify this. And by the way, you know, I am very active with the Florida Association of Counties. Have chaired a number of committees, again, in leadership roles during this 8-year period of time that I have been associated with county government per se. And so I'm not just telling you about something that I will do. I'm telling you about things that we have done to be supportive, to bring about the types of changes that you have talked about. I believe that, for example, my leading opponent, you know, he has a record. You know, the LBC, he had the 8% rating, one of the worst when he was in Congress. He has lobbied for offshore oil drilling firms, and you know that's been widely reported about in the Tampa Bay newspaper and other organizations over time. He has a terrible record on environmental issues that he should be held accountable to, and that's all I'm saying. Hold me accountable to the decisions that I've made and the work that we've done. Again, I point to the fact that as I transition in, I created the Office of Chief Sustainability and Resilience, is one in which Orange County did not have prior to me coming into office, and we restructured our organization to make certain that we have staff authority across all departments or divisions to make it a priority. You even mentioned about the transition of more fuel efficient vehicles, and also vehicles. We've been focusing on electrifying our vehicles and hybrids. That's been part of what we have been doing as a county. We have looked to make our energy plants and facilities more modern, to cut down on the high cost, if you will, of utilities for our constituents. I believe that with the state of Florida, there's an opportunity there to support the development of alternative energy sources, but also I think hold our utility companies accountable as well when residents invest in alternative energy sources that reduce their costs. I believe that there should be a distribution. We are the Sunshine State, right? We have a lot of sunshine here. There are countries like Israel and some others who were far ahead of us in terms of rooftop and solar energy as an alternative source. And I think that we're not quite where we need to be in order to lower energy costs for Floridians.
Well, one of the things to pick up on that is the issue of data centers. I don't know if you followed the legislation this past legislative session, but there's 7 data centers that are being proposed in Florida and counting. The centers present tremendous threats to Florida's energy and clean water supply, to climate change, to overdevelopment and urban sprawl, our wetlands and the Everglades, to the affordability of our utility rates, and to environmental justice communities where these centers tend to be located. This is a huge national issue. In the past legislative session, Florida Senate Bill 484, which is titled Data Centers, was introduced and passed, is now on the governor's desk for signature, meant to be the beginning effort of establishing a regulatory framework for large-scale data centers in Florida. Surprisingly, it grants local government authority over comprehensive planning on this issue. It appears to me that that DeSantis, the Republicans who proposed this, do understand the threat to local governments and to our environment. And our state, our DECF, our caucus is going to hold a webinar in the next few months just on this issue, given the importance that we view as being able to establish data information centers that can essentially help think ourselves out of getting out of the climate crisis we're in and the affordability crisis that we're in. So we're not opposed to data centers. We want them to be implemented and administered in an environmentally protective way. How do you view that issue, building and administering data centers? What factors would you consider in establishing state policy?
Again, this kind of goes back to my basic premise earlier. We will have to impanel a group of subject matter experts to offer a collaborative approach with appropriate research to support the recommendations to decision makers about how we can best move forward with the emerging technology by doing the least harm to no harm. And we can't do that without focusing on some of the research. I believe that we have some of the best higher education institutions anywhere within the state of Florida. I believe there's an opportunity to work with the universities and work with the private sector as well to fashion a plan of action as we move forward. We know that, as you said, data centers are given the technological age that we live in, are probably going to be necessary, but we don't want them causing more harm than good. And so I'm not a subject matter expert in that area, but I do believe in looking at the science behind it and not the politics necessarily behind it, to when we make decisions, we do the least harm. Another opportunity here to take it to the people, to make those kinds of recommendations, including those of you involved in our environmental caucus. I believe I heard you say that you're not necessarily opposed to it, but you, if it has to happen, you want it to happen in a manner that is going to do the least harm, but have a good outcome.
So Mayor Demmings, I will tell you my personal opinion on it, which is that the environmental and climate crisis, the affordability crisis, the housing crisis that we have now here, really, these crises, I think, are very complicated in terms of how do you interweave our economic policy and our environmental policy so that we address these things. And I think it's a national emergency, in my opinion. So I think if we are able to use data centers, which are very powerful sources of information, we would be great. The problem I see is that the Florida Power and Light, Duke Energy, these are the people that are setting up the data centers. And so my view is you're going to have people that are doing the damage to our environment, basically setting them up and administering them for profit. And
Right.
that's my biggest concern about the data centers. That's why I think it's a big deal. And that's me personally. So anyhow,
Well, you're right.
yeah.
You're right, because they always say follow the money.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes, while there may be immediate gratification, a return on the investment, in the long term, there could be consequences that could cost even more money. But this is where I agree wholeheartedly. It's not a local issue, solely a local issue or a state issue. It is a national issue for our entire country. But this goes back to something fundamental, my belief, after 45 years working in government, being active at the federal level, state level, and the local level. We get the best governance when all three levels of government work together, and when we work with the private sector. And if there is a way to make this less about profit and more about the people, then that's what I'm all for. I do believe that there may not be a perfect solution for a complex issue, but there may be a better solution than what we have now, to where we, because of a lack of directives and regulatory oversight, we have fallen behind. So it is certainly an area that's important to me. Again, as I look forward to appointing a transition team of people to look at some of these major issues that's before us, and sustainability and resiliency is one of those issues that would be a top priority for my administration. Of course, public safety is important to me because that's the fundamental reason that government exists. Affordability is a big issue for me because it's a big issue for the people. As I am traveling the state, it's important to them. Immigration and customs related issues are really, really important to the people now, because we're such a melting pot. I just left a meeting earlier with the agricultural and the farming community, where they are suffering. The weather has impacted the cost of farming, and then they have a deficit of workforce that is impacting the cost. And then they say global competition with tariffs and everything else has impacted their industry. And no one is really leading the effort to improve the process, if you will, of getting the H-2A workers a pathway to legitimate presence in our country, a lawful presence in a more efficient way. All of that is something that is another complexity that I look forward to. You know, I'm a problem solver. I'm not one who just sits back and identifies the problems. I want us to collectively identify the solutions. And so these are the types of things that you will see that I will lean into as we move forward.
Okay,
But I'll, yes.
let me do this because we are running late. It's my fault and your fault because both of us had problems coming in here, but I want to get, there's people that have questions in the chat. There's people that sent questions to me earlier, and I sort of want to get to those, if that's okay. So let me
Okay.
start with the, I don't know if it's Julie or Kim. We're going to flash some questions on the screen from the chat. Are you guys able to do that at this point? And just for everybody, we're learning how to use StreamYard because we think it's a better way to do this. But
Yeah.
so bear
So,
with us.
do you want me to just put them on the screen, or do you want me to read them out?
Either one. You can read them
Okay.
and Mayor Demmings can answer them.
All right, I'm just going to go down the list. Here
And before
is.
I'd like to introduce Kim Heisey, who is our communications chair for the DECF, lives in Broward County. I think you're the secretary of that chapter, aren't you, Kim?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so this first question is about would you in redlining communities who are living in environmental toxins, air, water, and land toxins, would you use CRA funding to help these communities relocate to a toxic-free community?
Well, it really depends on how the CRAs are set up, how they're established. I would not oppose the use of CRA funding, but as you know, whenever CRAs are set up, they are generally set up to eradicate urban blight. But sometimes they have certain stipulations within it. But what I am committed to doing is using the state's resources to relocate persons. And it may not just be limited to CRA dollars. It may be an expanded use of the Sadowski Trust Fund, the Housing Trust Fund dollars, or it could be other dollars that could be brought to the table. What I'm committed to doing is solving the problem.
Great. The next question is Jack really wants to know about data centers. Jack, if he has answered your question, you don't have to do anything, but if you want to ask it anything else about that, just put that in the chat. But he had a lot of questions about that. But I think you answered them. So the next one is, this is from the same user. If elected, will you resume environmental testing through the state health department? No environmental testing has been done since 2021.
Yay! Let's get it done.
Okay. That's a yes, huh?
Yes.
Jack says he's good.
Hold on. Can I ask a follow-up question then?
Mhm.
One of the things that is a Project 2025 tactic, basically, is to defund administrative agencies and then remove their authority to do stuff, which is one of the reasons when people in these communities that are getting toxins dumped on them and they're getting sick, they call up the Florida Department of Environmental Protection or the U.S. environmental agencies, and they don't get an answer, or they get 1/10 of an answer because they don't really have the funding to do stuff. So it is a huge opportunity for any governor to reconstitute these agencies, and you talked about it. So I think you should talk about it a little more because this is a huge opportunity to restore environmental protections.
Well, to me, these are common sense approaches. to restore environmental protections because of the special interest in Tallahassee and the heavy influence on the current elected officials there. They sprinkle the money around everywhere within their respective campaigns. And so they have tremendous influence. Electing me, it's been 32 years since we elected a Democratic governor. I believe that you will see a paradigm shift occur in the total focus of what our state prioritizes as important. And so, to me, taking care of the people is the priority for me, not taking care of the billionaires and the wealthy, while I will certainly support them. I'm more concerned about the people who really need our help. And these are people who sometimes find themselves in low income neighborhoods or poor neighborhoods, disproportionately exposed to all of the negatives out there, from environmental issues to crime, to lack of access to quality housing, to lack of access to good public education. All of those issues are issues that I believe we're very ripe for, and I'm looking forward to, as I would say, my mother was a maid. She taught me how to clean up pretty good. I look forward to going in and cleaning up after the elephants to eradicate the mess that they have made here within our state and our nation. Because this is what happens when you're out of balance. When one party with a dominant belief system invokes its will on everybody else, we don't come to the middle and take care of the majority of the people. So I look forward to bringing some balance back to Tallahassee and some balance back to the common sense approach that I know we can get to. So I do applaud your efforts to make sure that these types of conversations continue to occur, and that we don't just talk about the change that is necessary, but we begin to make the change that is necessary. I'm a change agent. You can go back and look at my history. I'm a change agent. That's who I am. And that's the way I will operate as governor, to bring about the change that the people want.
And Kim, are there other
Oh yeah,
other
there's
topics we haven't touched on?
so
Pick
one of them that we haven't touched on is oat rot sugarcane burning. That this user would like to know, would you have the health department put out alerts about sugarcane burning, and also would you press sugar companies to use green harvesting?
Yeah, where appropriate, let's look at the science, use the science, and if there are carcinogens or other dangers associated with burning, we right now are in a drought, and as a result of that, we have burn bans that are out. It's just common sense to me. I'm a crisis management, I'm a public safety expert. And these are areas and taking care of the people that I kind of lead in. And so I look forward to using my crisis management experience. I will be the only candidate in this race that's managed issues from a global pandemic to barricaded gunmen, hostage situations, hurricanes, to other types of crises. And so I hit the ground running because of that broad experience.
Okay.
How many more am I allowed to put up?
Well, I think we've gone on long enough, frankly. And I would sort of like to close now, if that's okay, unless there's a bad pun, burning question. We haven't.
Well, I maybe one more, just because I think that there's a lot of great questions in the chat. If you wanted to go back later and answer the questions, maybe that's possible. But but I think that for this one, this is a very popular issue, so maybe this would be a good one to answer. Specifically, the FWC and the bear hunt issue; those are very popular issues here in Florida. Do you have any thoughts about that agency in particular, or that issue in particular?
Well, I probably need a little more clarity on what the question is related to the issue. Certainly, we saw where the governor and they authorized a bear hunt that was, and they didn't have any kind of restrictions associated with it. But this is another consequence of a poor land use planning, because all these homes were built that infringed on the natural habitat for bears, and then they created a conundrum there because the bears aren't really at fault. It's man, it's human that's at fault for it. So there's an opportunity, I think, to have better managed the response to that, and we have to have proactive plans of how we're going to move forward in order to preclude us from having to unnecessarily kill our wildlife.
Great. And just one more thing on that issue, because I think what people are referring to when they say, when they're wondering about what you think about the FWC, is there's a popular issue on a lot of, I've seen a lot of people on social media post on this. There are certain groups that are created around this issue, but about how the FWC commissioners don't have wildlife experience, and people are really upset about that, and they feel like they're not doing their job and whatnot. That's just a very popular issue. I don't know.
Okay. So listen, that doesn't make sense to me that you're the FWC for Florida, and you don't have people who have wildlife experience. I don't know how you get to that point, but obviously I've been a chief of police, I've been a sheriff, I've been a director of public safety. I've hired people to address issues who had the skill set, the broad experience and skill set to deal with the multitude of issues that may come before those persons. So to be honest with you, I have not looked at this issue of is there a deficit of persons who work for FWC who don't have wildlife experience? What I can tell you is that the state law enforcement officers still rank towards the bottom of what they make per capita. And I believe that there is an opportunity to pay those individuals better than what they have been making. It's common knowledge that state workers in general in Florida per capita make less than the majority of other state workers. We're near the bottom of what we pay our state workers, and I believe in order to get the kind of workforce that you need, you're going to have to pay it. That means investing more in getting the kind of people we need to work in the state of Florida. And so I'm committed to that as governor, is increasing the wages for our state workers so that we can not only recruit them, but we can retain them and get the broad knowledge base and knowledge and skill set that we need to effectively run these organizations.
So thank you very, very much. I'm going to do a little closing remarks, and then Mayor Demmings give you an opportunity to close us out. So first of all, to conclude, everybody on this call, please become a member of our state caucus. It's $10 a year, and then become a member of your county chapter. We want to create essentially a team of people that are going to get Democrats to win in November, who will do the right thing environmentally when they govern. And to do that, we really all have to work together, all the candidates and all us volunteers, all of us environmentalists. To put these events on, we're going to put on webinars, candidate forums, and these kinds of conversation. It takes people to do it. We need the help. And we would love to see our chapters do this in the counties in which you live for the candidates that are relevant to your county. So please join us. That's the first thing. Secondly, if you can go to our webpage to do that. And finally, what I'd like to really do is thank Mayor Demmings for joining us. First of all, to experiment with this new fangled StreamYard the program that we're using. And secondly, to experiment with having this kind of conversation, which we want to keep doing and expand it. So with that, I'd like to invite Mayor Demmings to give us our closing remarks.
Well, first, let me just say thank you, the Environmental Caucus, for having a fair process and creating this opportunity to talk to the gubernatorial candidates. I look forward to being the Democratic nominee moving forward during the general election in November. We are beginning to pick up steam with my campaign. Recent polls came out, 2 within the last 7 days, and both of those polls indicated that of the top 2 Democrats, I had a slightly better chance at beating the Republican challenger who is at the top of the list. I would encourage all of you to keep your minds open about who you will support. Support the best person that you think can not only deliver for our state on behalf of the environmentalists, but deliver for our state based upon the full breadth of responsibility that the governor of the state of Florida will have. I'm offering up my 45 years of public service, having held multiple titles over that period of time, from being a CEO to being boots on the ground and everything in between. I'm honored to have served my state, my home state, for these last 45 years. My professional career is a little bit longer than that. Prior to going into public service, I worked as an accountant. I understand how to manage money. I'm degreed, I'm experienced. There's no substitute for training or experience. My mother used to say, don't just listen at what comes out of somebody's mouth. Watch their actions, judge them by their actions. I'm asking you to judge me based on the sum total of what I have delivered on over these years. I'm a lifelong Democrat, but also I've never asked anyone that I was serving. They're a Democrat or a Republican. I'm just a public servant. I'm a humble servant that is stepping up to the plate to hopefully bring about the change that people want to see in the state of Florida. If you want to follow us at jerrydemmingsforgovernor.org or either jerrydemmingsforgovernor.com. There's much information out there. If you want to engage with us, if you want to support this campaign, if you want to join us, there's an opportunity through those websites to be able to do so. I do humbly ask for your endorsement as we move forward. We're beginning to pick up substantial endorsements as we move forward. I look forward to a spirited election season. We're in it to win it. And thank you all for your environmental leadership as well. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you for the maybe hour or so that we have been conversating. And sorry for the technology the challenges that we had. I was on a new computer as well, and just didn't seem to work right. But hopefully you heard with clarity the positions that I have taken and examples of how I have administered various broad divisions of government, how I've been engaged at the federal level, the state level, and now the local level. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our event. Thank you so much.
All right. Good day.